have full-back Howell Davis, scrum-half Mark Douglas, and of course the prop Rhys Morgan, as well as 3 others new to the championship, Mark Titley, Blethen Bowen, Adrian Hadley. Some exciting runners there. The captain, of course, is the big man from Pontypool, Eddie Butler, captain for the 6th time. The men who wear the thistle have a kind of well-worn look, a Scottish 15 boasting 266 caps. No new internationalist amongst them. The old firm John Rutherford and Roy Laidlaw together in a major international for the 19th time, the captain Jim Aitken of Gala. And a little thought for the man in the middle there today, the referee, who is Owen Doyle, a wine merchant from Dublin, who takes charge of his very first major international match in this, his first season on the Irish international panel. A big moment for Owen Doyle, his countrymen close at hand, the Dutch judges David Burnett and John West. A quite inspiring scene here at this great New Look Stadium as Owen Doyle signals the kick-off, and Howell Davis, the new Welsh fullback, kicks it dead. And there's a lad with a big burden on his shoulders out of Bridgend, as indeed was J.P.R. Williams before him. John Rutherford will take the first dropout of the match. Lifting it back, Ian Paxson got hands to it. Colin Deans kicked it on. Ian Paxson was in front of him, but the referee had seen the ball knocked forward initially. So the first scrummage there, just outside Scotland's 22. You may see that the ground will cut up a little because, as I was saying, it's a little softer than Bill Hardiman would have wanted it, simply because of the covers. But when you consider all the building contractual work that's been going on here, the stadium and the pitch looks marvellous. Mark Douglas waiting as the Welsh scrummage holds. Dacey testing out Peter Dodge with that Gary Owen. Dodge ready and alert for the occasion, calls for the mark. So that's Malcolm Dacey of Swansea. And Peter Dodge, you remember, who kicked those vital 5 penalty goals against the All Blacks. From the way the ball flighted there, you'll notice that Scotland and Peter Dodge playing into the slight breeze blowing down the pitch. And an interesting development right away, Wales have cut their line out. Now they put in 4, it means Scotland can only put in 4, but David Leslie can stand well at the back. Thrown right there to Pickering. And already just a little bit of niggle there. And the referee Owen Doyle will want to get in at that. Forwards trying to impress their authority in a physical way that's quite unacceptable.
Yes, people can appreciate the tension revolving around this match. Wales obviously got a lot to prove after the defeat with Romania. Are obviously very keyed up, and the match has unfortunately ignited with that showing of fists and fury.
Wales deemed to have infringed, first of all, penalty to Scotland. John Rutherford. So the Scots have settled in with 2 good safe touch kicks. And Wales this time using the full line. That's Eddie Butler, second from the tail. Richard Moriarty on the Welsh throw-in, standing there, 3 from the back. Through there again goes Pickering, caught by Leslie. Knocked forward by Welsh hands at the line out. And this scrummage right on halfway. Roy Laidlaw there, playing in his 24th international in a row. And getting a Channel 1 ball, Mark Douglas round. Jim Calder gets round to save. Now it's back to Colin Deans, and he bumps into Malcolm Dacey. So it's rough and rugged at the start here. On the Scottish 10 metres line. Eddie Butler stroked it along well to Mark Douglas. In comes Peter Dodds. He's caught there by Titley. That's the Scottish 22. Tremendous buzz of excitement all round the ground, even thus early in the match. This Welsh scrummage looks pretty solid. Slightly heavier, the Welshman, 4 or 5 pounds a man. And Jim Aitken on this side of the front row for Scotland, but it's Mark Douglas to Dacey. Dacey switches the attack, going up the narrow side. Lovely little kick through. Back there goes Calder, but it's Laidlaw who's there first. But that was a beautiful sniping run by Malcolm Dacey. Changed direction, came off his left foot, and away he went. Rutherford. Kicked on there by Paxton. Paxton catches Dacey. Kicked on by Leslie. Titley picks up. Up to Peter Dodds on his own 10 metres line. Dodds high, but the wind caught it as it went just a bit too high and held it back. Pickering underneath it for Wales. Staff Jones, number 1 there, driving in. The Pontypool loose head prop. And there, number 3, is the new cap in the Welsh pack, Rhys Morgan of Newport, the first Newport prop to be capped for Wales since Barry Llewellyn away back 13 years ago. Dacey misses Douglas's pass right over his head. Back goes Howell Davies, and he had to look sharp. So a testing time for the new cap there. It's terrible to have to run back not knowing what is behind you, but he did well. Colin Deans comes to make sure that he's got the signal right, and Scotland have clipped their line out. Ian Milne is in a standoff position, so he may come up for a long one. It's meant for Leslie, and Leslie took it. In goes Milne now. So plenty of initiative and enterprise being shown at the line out. That's the Welsh 22. Mark Douglas, this big, tall, strong, new scrum half from Llanelli. Eddie Butler tried to defeat Douglas, got it back there to Dacey. Dacey, who loves to run, but well tackled there by Jim Calder. And a penalty against the Scots. I think it may have been for handling in the ruck. But it certainly gives Wales, in the person of Howell Davies, the chance to clear. So Bleddyn Bowen there with the left foot, playing in his second international, his first against Romania. Familiar figure of Bill Cuthbertson, who plays for Harlequins and captained the Anglo-Scots this season. Cuthbertson palmed. Roy Laidlaw nicely out to Rutherford. Rutherford inside to Jim Calder, just inside Welsh territory. Laidlaw into the space, it's useful. So Roy Laidlaw, who fought his way back into the Scottish side from the junior team in the trial, and of course one of the 8 British Lions in the Scottish team. Alan Tomes with the head bandage. Perkins got it for Wales. There's the powerful figure of Rhys Morgan, number 3, on this tight head side for Wales against Jim Aitken. 2 players there against each other who got their first caps as 29-year-olds. And that's a penalty against Scotland, deemed, I think, to have taken it down too low. So once again, it's Bleddyn Bowen, the young policeman, who is taking those kicks with the left foot to the right touchline to get the spin in, the natural spin in. Young fellow who's played a lot of his rugby as stand-up half. In fact, the Welsh back division contains 3 standoffs, so plenty of skill there. Rhys Morgan at the front, John Perkins of Pontypool just behind him. But Deans throws for Tomes. Laidlaw out to Leslie. Leslie driving on into Malcolm Dacey. That's a good surge by the Scottish forwards. Laidlaw out to Rutherford, along the line to Kennedy. Kennedy beautifully tackled, but it's kicked on by Rutherford. Howell Davies got a very nasty bounce. He was unlucky. It came squirting off the turf, but it was a knock-on.
I think both sides now need a little general to calm everything down, because the game has been played at a fast and furious pace. But of course, as we see in that being the case, mistakes are bound to happen, and of course the new caps as well are being put under unnecessary pressure.
Laidlaw chipping for Steve Munro. Back there goes Hadley. Mark Douglas in underneath the ball as well. And Scotland inside the Welsh 22. At the tail, the 2 number 7s, David Leslie and David Pickering. Nicely out to Mark Douglas, the charge down by Deans. And Bowen makes sure. So Malcolm Dacey prepared to take the quick one if the chance was on. Scots alert to it. Up went Cuthbertson. Back again to Douglas. Good kick by Dacey. He's found space, but across comes Peter Dodds. Dodds keeps it in play. A lovely bit of work by the Scottish fullback. That was deft play, kicked on by Roger Baird. Dacey is there. Player hurt is Howell Davies, the new fullback, and the man tending to him is Tudor Jones, who's taken over from Jerry Lewis as the Welsh physiotherapist.
This is Peter Dodds, obviously taking that loose kick from Malcolm Dacey. Did very, very well here. Watch Howell Davies come in for it, and unfortunately I think he was kicked by his own player, Bleddyn Bowen. I feel that Scotland now are obviously weathering that initial storm by Wales, and are keen to move the ball themselves. Even though the ball is very scrappy for both half-backs, for both scrum halves, Ray Laidlaw seems to be keen to get the ball moving, even though he's under extreme pressure in the line-out.
Scotland throwing long to Calder. Down there went Butler to save for Wales. Good a bit of work by the Welsh captain. Dacey gets it from Douglas. John Rutherford was very alert to his opposite number in possession, but couldn't quite charge it down. So that's the great new South Stand here at Cardiff. In fact, they've 33,000 folks seated in this great stadium now. Leslie went down. Scotland should win it. It was on their side. Laidlaw, Rutherford. That's the Gary Owen to test the injured Howell Davies. He's well under it. That was good by the Welsh fullback. They'll be pleased with that down at the Brewery Field in Bridgend. Still carrying that injured leg, but he didn't flinch under that high ball. So, as I say, we've seen very few actual normal line-outs here. Scotland have cut to 2 again. David Leslie's at the back, Bill Cuthbertson at the front, but beaten to it that time by Norcia. The drive on by Billy James. Billy James, the Welsh hooker. Scotland round on the wrong side, a penalty. Roy Laidlaw hurt there in the skirmish as the Welsh forwards broke through.
I think one of the reasons why we're not having a lot of fluid play is because the line-out is very untidy, and there's a lot of killing of the ball when the ball is going loose. Both sets of flankers obviously realising that the team that probably wins the battle of the loose ball will be the team that sets up the more chances. So it'll be interesting to see now whether Ray Laidlaw can get an opportunity to test Richard Moriarty, who is obviously new to the flank position. It'll be interesting to see if he does get an opportunity to test him.
So Howell Davis has put Wales up to within 10 metres of Scotland's 22. Colin Dean's throws. It's an ugly ball for John Rutherford. His forwards try to clean up for him. Laidlaw back again to Rutherford, and that was good copybook stuff. A good bit of saving by the Scottish forwards there as their standoff got into trouble. Owen Doyle, the referee, insisting on that very clear gap down the middle of the line. Half a metre wide it should be. Billy James of Aberravon to throw. Using Moriarty. Calder went through. Big obstruction at the back of the line out. And a chance perhaps for Wales to take the lead. Yes, they're going to have a pot at goal. And it's the new fullback, Howell Davis, who's going to do it. He's a big lad, this. He's 6 feet and 13 and a half stones. But at the moment, he's more concerned with getting his timing and technique right over this distance. And from the camera on the East Terrace, this is the view that all the folk get up there from that huge bank of spectators, just that we'll see in a moment. Right behind the goalposts. And Howell Davis, who's already scored 169 points this season, coming to try and put Wales into the lead. Long enough, but hooked. And clearly he's still having injury trouble there with that knock he got early on. David Johnston was ready to take a quick drop out. And John Rutherford kicks long. Dacey, he had Titley outside him, but he switches the other way to Mark Douglas. Douglas, beautifully tackled by Roger Baird. Robert Norster was the man who went to help and take it on, but was knocked forward. That's the Scottish 10 metres line. Rutherford. Ewan Kennedy missed out a man to Peter Dodds, missed out David Johnson. Dodds may have kicked too far. Yes, he got more than his 11 stone 10 into that one. Interesting there to see Scotland use their big centre Ewan Kennedy, who has a very good long pass, as the man to do the miss move and free his fullback. Out again to Dacey, along the line to Ackerman. Good crunching tackle in midfield there by Kennedy. Scottish 10 metres line. Baxton feeds Laidlaw wide. Laidlaw to Rutherford. Not often John Rutherford drops a ball like that. And I think we have to take into consideration as well that it's quite cold here, and there'll be some numb hands out there already. Richard Moriarty is on this side, the open side of the scrimmage, which is interesting. There's the 6'6" of this big lad who's played a lot of his rugby as a number 8, but got his 6 caps as a lock forward. Butler. Pickering had allowed Douglas to go wide. That was why the move was on. Now it's out to Dacey from Douglas. Dacey has Hadley outside him. It's kicked on by Hadley. Douglas going on. So that also a very interesting move indeed. Using Pickering coming from blind to open. Scottish 22. Laidlaw from the sanctuary doesn't kick very far, but didn't have much of an angle. Ian Paxton, the big number 8 forward there at the back, and here Moriarty, number 6, eyes changing. Wales on the throw, and Moriarty has gone back to 3 from the tail. Meant for Norster. Douglas caught. Laidlaw, Rutherford. John Rutherford, one of the British Lions and one of the 7 players from the Selkirk club in the borders of Scotland to have been capped at Rugby. So we've played 19 minutes of the first half, still no score. It's dull here, but still dry. And Douglas, Dacey, missed out Ackerman to Bowen. There's a chance here as it comes from Davis to Titley. He runs outside Baird. Titley going up the touchline, a marvellous run by the little wing. Inside there to Ackerman, tackled by Kennedy. That was a superb move by Mark Titley. The fullback Howell Davis coming in and going outside his man Roger Baird and going right up to virtually there. So Scotland have been posted warning by this little fella from Bridgend. Billy James tried to hold it back, and John Perkins could be in trouble there with Owen Doyle, because definitely there was a bit of nastiness there on his part. And Owen Doyle having a really strong word with him there, as well he might, and probably saying, that's your caution, off the next time.
And of course, what is silly there, apart from the chance that he could be sent off, is that Wales had really got themselves into a very good attacking position in releasing their backs. The forwards would have been pleased with that yardage that would have been gained, and now it's all been to no avail as Scotland get a penalty.
And John Rutherford has put in the biggest kick of the match so far. That was a monstrous touch finder, beautifully judged. And look at this, Gareth was saying, look at the difference it's made to Wales. One moment, 10 metres from Scotland's line, and they're through indiscretion away back down on their own 22. James with the throw. And Richard Moriarty cautioned that time. Richard Moriarty, who's an electrician and from whom sparks can fly, as they did there.
And obviously it'll call on Butler's experience and the stature now to control the Welsh forwards. Obviously there's going to be a lot of pushing and pulling, but it needs discipline at this level, because you cannot afford to give an international kicker too many opportunities.
So it's Peter Dodds. With this opportunity, it looks easy enough from there, but, well, it's a good 30 metres or so. Peter Dodds the chance to put Scotland into the lead. Little bit of unsportsmanlike bowing. I think he may have pushed it wide. So a chance for each side to have kicked a penalty goal. Both have gone astray, and it's still no scoring with 22 minutes gone. Dacey, Moriarty knocks it back. Douglas adjusted his pass beautifully there to Howell Davis. And the young fullback, just 24, first time a replacement and gets his first cap. Moriarty was at the tail there as Jim Calder took it. Now it's Laidlaw. Again, the little chip into what they call the box. Douglas was across there, caught by Rutherford and by Steve Munro. I tell you, there's a lot of niggle out there that really shouldn't have any place on an international field, no matter. So Owen Doyle, the Irishman there, in his first international, certainly having not having his problems to seek in this match. There are 24 minutes of the first half over, still no scoring. The tension very high here in the great stadium.
And the tension, I suppose, because neither side can really get that platform, can they, to dictate or to set a pattern in the game. Therefore, a lot of the play, very scrappy, and both sets of forwards really working very, very hard to try and get some sort of quality possession. The fact that they cannot do it is obviously frustrating both sides, and that obviously then highlights the fact that there's a lot of niggle in the game.
Colin Dean's the injured player. Another of the British Lions in the side, and the singing just starting down at the bottom end. The great choral inspiration that can often lift the Welsh side. Those folks still enjoying the excitement of the occasion despite the very cold day here. So the scrummage on the Welsh 22. Mark Douglas wanting it straight, as the law suggests, and Wales certainly in no problems whatever with their scrummage ball. Malcolm Dacey, Steve Munro. Good chance for Wales to play advantage.
And that was so typical of the game. You see the ball seemed to be coming back on the Welsh side, but the Scottish forwards very quick to kill that ball, and therefore frustrate the scrum half and the chance for Wales to move the ball.
Scotland turned Wales there, and I think the Welsh breakaways were wanting to pick up and go, but well, that untidy mess resulted. Jim Aitken, the Scottish captain, on this side of the front row, playing today in his 20th major international match against the new cap, Rhys Morgan. Yes, a scrum half, of course, can be penalised for delaying the put-in, but obviously every scrum half wants to have his hooker in his best position, and of course the hooker often gives a signal to the scrum half with a hand flap to tell him when to put it in. Bit slow the heel, but it's coming down to, and it's come to Butler. Now it's Douglas, and that's found a bit of space. Back goes Steve Munro. Steve Munro, who played his last international against the Romanians in 1981, had a bit of trouble with hamstring, couldn't play against New Zealand. David Pickering of Llanelli. Now it's a little scrum half. Douglas, his pal from the same club, now fed back there from Perkins along the line to Dacey. Dacey's kick through, dodge called. Couldn't make the mark because he was outside the 22, and Peter Dodge tearing up that right touchline. Munro comes inside. Magnificent tackle by Hadley.
I suppose both sides obviously have to rely on the counter-attack, as we saw Peter Dodge doing so well there under pressure from a loose Welsh kick, but obviously looking for a chance to exploit the Welsh defence on the blind side. But we saw Adrian Hadley being called upon for probably the first time in the match, really, and what a magnificent tackle it was. Scotland, obviously, like Wales, aren't really getting the possession or the quality possession that they would like to have, but on the few occasions that their backs are released, are looking pretty sharp and dangerous. So the first side which can capitalise and get some sort of continuity of possession might be obviously the most dangerous side.
Minor anxiety for the Scots here, as Peter Dodge was hurt as he made that break up the front, and minor anxiety because there's no actual recognised fullback among the replacement, but not needed, happily, and the Gala lad back in action. Welsh 10 metres line. There's a bit of shoving and elbowing there. And Eddie Butler, who of course must have been feeling a bit of pressure as well there, the Welsh captain, after the defeat by Romania. Howell Davies. Roy Laidlaw. No sign yet of the snow, which was forecast for Cardiff later in the game, and the pitch standing up pretty well. With 10 minutes to go to half-time, still no scoring, and Wales trying to go out the tail of the line out to Perkins. And it's a penalty to Wales. It may have been for preventing release, but I'm sure Eddie Butler will want the kick at goal. It really is quite a burden for a new internationalist to have to take on the goal kicking as well, because goal kicking is so important. This one a bit closer for Howell Davies, and certainly a principal goal kicker for his club, Bridgend. So Howell Davies then got the height that time, and it's through.
Been a good kicker for Bridgend, but of course he must be delighted to get a bite at the Chinese international level, having to follow such a man as Mark Wyatt, such a prolific scorer in international matches. But Howell Davies must be delighted, because he's taken a bit of a heavy knock early on and hasn't had many opportunities to run into the line, which is his strength. Must be delighted to have converted that penalty shot.
So with about 9 minutes to go to half-time, Wales leading by 3 points to 0, and that we hope will enliven the proceedings with some open play. Dodds restarts. Dacey takes and makes safe. Well, now no ringing of changes in the line out here. Bill Cuthbertson is at number 2 opposite John Perkins, and Alan Tomes is marked by Robert Noster. Colin Deans using Leslie at the tail again, taken on by Calder, tackled by Moriarty. Laidlaw, Rutherford with a drop goal. It looks good, but it's just past the left-hand post. Owen Doyle, the referee, was right in position. And disappointment for J.Y. Rutherford. Dacey. Taken again by Calder. Calder held by Perkins, beautifully laid back. Laidlaw, Rutherford. Rutherford having a go, looking for support. Laidlaw was there, he's still dummying. Give it on. Leslie was the man who took it on. And beautifully cleared there by Mark Douglas. David Leslie, who led the junior side to their 21-3 win in the trial, very much in support there. And so the bearded figure of Rhys Morgan, the 29-year-old plumber who plays for Newport, and Wales' new cap in the pack. Laidlaw, Rutherford, Kennedy. Kennedy switches to Munro. Munro well tackled by Dacey. Nicely back to Laidlaw. Some good play here by the Scots as Laidlaw breaks. On the Welsh 22, fed back there from Milne. Milne to Rutherford. The wide kick to Hadley. Hadley. The referee waiting for advantage. He hadn't yet. Yes, he has now. He's blown for the knock-on by Adrian Hadley, but a good bit of refereeing. Scotland might have produced something out of the knock-on.
And those are the sort of opportunities Scotland are looking for. more than one ball coming back to their backs to be used, and of course therefore can switch play from one side to the other.
Laidlaw, Rutherford again to Ewan Kennedy for the crash ball, but tackled by both the Welsh centres. Now it's Rutherford. Rutherford no way through there. Looking for forward support, got it eventually from Laidlaw. Scotland have no scrum half. And John Rutherford, who didn't want to risk the long pass in case it floated away and gave Wales a breakout, really caught slightly indecisive. So Mark Douglas, Scotland turning the scrummage. And it's always a problem for the referee when the scrummage wheels round like that. He's got to watch so many different aspects. So we've 5 minutes to go roughly to half-time. 3-0 to Wales as Laidlaw picks up and runs into Moriarty. David Leslie naturally peeved because he had a good chance to break there, but he was in front. Well, Wales weren't allowed to do anything off the turn there, and the Scots have managed to pirate a bit of ball. Drive on by Laidlaw, and the interception by Norster. Norster trying to feed on to Hadley, his Cardiff clubmate. And so that will please Welsh fans to see big Robert Norster going so far. He's only had about half a dozen games so far this season, but late in this first half, he looked full of get up and go there. Laidlaw again. Rutherford, the miss move to Johnston. That's the feed to Baird. Baird sprinting across, the man who made the breakout, remember, 2 years ago. Scotland's forward still taking it on, trying to suck in more of the Welsh defence. Now it's fed back from Laidlaw. Ewan Kennedy kicking to the corner. Howell Davis hirpling there and managing to get to the ball first, but clearly in some discomfort. And the big 6 feet 4.5 inch centre had Wales stretched a little there. Three and a half minutes plus injury time. 3-0 to Wales still. Dacey with the dropout. Douglas. Howell Davis kicks to Steve Munro. Munro gave his forwards a target, and they've done their duty. Rutherford along the line to Kennedy to Johnston. Johnston, little chip through, meant for Baird. Up comes Davis. He did the best thing. Scotland really putting some pressure on here to try to get on level terms or ahead before the interval. Deans with that marvellous long throw again to Leslie. Jim Calder takes it. Pick up and drive by Ian Paxton. That really was another good drive, a chance for Rutherford. Rutherford with that check as he did 2 years ago. Rutherford going for the corner. Rutherford checks inside to Calder. Calder a metre short. Laidlaw once again thwarted. Yes, it was Malcolm Dacey who got a hand on the ball, and that was a clever bit of work by Dacey in amongst the forwards.
Although that was lovely running by John Rutherford, credit must go to David Leslie, who's won a number of line-out balls at the back of the line against Moriarty, who must be at least 4 or 5 inches taller than him.
Scotland going for an 8-manner, and it's a free kick for delaying, I think, the put-in. So a real chance here for the Scots. What kind of move will they produce here? Roy Laidlaw out to Rutherford. Rutherford hands on to Milne. Again, nicely laid in the ruck. Laidlaw, the switch to Rutherford, the drop goal surely, and hooked.
Well, he had another failed drop goal by John Rutherford, who's disgusted with himself, but credit there to Malcolm Dacey, who had read the situation beautifully and was up on top of him to put him under pressure, which meant that he pulled the ball to the left of the posts.
Dacey kicks a bit too far. Calder and Laidlaw perhaps not sure who was going to take it. Scotland not responsible for the stoppage and get the put in. Almost up to half-time and just outside the Welsh 22 as Laidlaw goes on his favourite blind side. This is Munro. Some good tackling by the Welsh nevertheless. Good tackle there by Eddie Butler on Munro. Now it's back from Laidlaw to Rutherford. Along the line to Kennedy. Kennedy misses out his man, but the pass didn't go to hand first. Roger Baird, tackled by Titley. Now to Dodds. Dodds to Johnston. Johnston caught by Dacey on halfway and by Ackerman. Very quick engagement by the Welsh back, but Scotland coming again. Laidlaw to Rutherford. And Rutherford, who'd run out of centre support, did the only thing open to him, and what a kick he's made. We're into injury time at the break, and Scotland within 10 metres. Billy James of Aberavon giving some consideration to where he's going to throw this, and Richard Moriarty is the injured player. Well, there was plenty of controversy about Richard Moriarty's selection as a blindside flanker, Gareth. How do you think he's going?
Well, he does look a little bit lost and out of position to me. He's running around aimlessly. He's been beaten a few times, as I mentioned, in the line-out by David Leslie, and when you realise he's so much shorter than him, that must be of obvious concern. But then Colin Deans must be given a lot of credit for his accurate throwing in of the ball. Ray Laidlaw really hasn't had the type of platform to test Moriarty from the set pieces and the loose pieces, because, as I've mentioned so many times during the half, the play has been very, very scrappy indeed.
Still, certainly after the early fisticuffs, the game has settled down a bit in that relation, so that's good for this match. But Scotland obviously looking for a score just before half-time. Owen Doyle looking at his watch there, which will tell him that they're almost into 2 minutes of injury time at the break.
Scotland really have had the best of the last 10 or 15 minutes, but really can't quite break through what is a very good Welsh defence. There's been one or two good highlights from the tackling centres.
So Billy James wanting to make sure this throw goes spot on. It's a penalty for being through too early. And so Howell Davis still taking those punts to this right touchline. And that looked a good one, so maybe that feeling of the bruising in his knee is easing off a bit. Scotland down again to 2. It's David Leslie pointing to Eddie Butler, who really isn't allowed to stand at the back there because Wales had 3 men in the line and Scotland had just 2. So the rule is now, of course, that the throwing inside dictate the number of players who will be in the line, and as Scotland had 2, Wales could only have 2 as well. Otherwise they've got to be 10 metres back. So Scotland going for the short one as Colin Deans takes it. Now it's fed out to Rutherford. Rutherford checking back inside on the Welsh 22. A great try here for Ian Paxton. David Leslie gave the scoring pass, and Scotland have gone into the lead with a really brilliant try.
So watch the ploy now. It's Colin Deans who acts as the dummy, holds the ball, quick release to John Rutherford, really which set it up. He's not tackled, and tremendous support from the back row. Paxton obviously did the rest.
Ian Paxton's first try for Scotland in an international puts them 1 point in the lead, and Peter Dodge here can stretch it. Dodge then stroked it well, and it's there. And Peter Dodge hoists his 50 points in major internationals for Scotland.
Well, watch this. It's a beautifully conceived move. It's the quick release here to John Rutherford which sets it up. One can argue he should have been tackled, but he still holds onto the ball. David Leslie up in support, and Paxton, like a good number 8, carrying on the support as well on the try that Scotland needed on half-time.
So that really has made the second half a tremendous prospect. Scotland going into the lead, a little bit of the breeze behind them in the second spell, and the game there to be won.
Well, now, during half-time, news of the special meeting of the Yorkshire County Cricket Club at the Harrogate Conference Centre, where this afternoon a vote has been taken on the future of Geoffrey Boycott, on his reinstatement, and a vote of no confidence in the General Committee of the Yorkshire County Cricket Club and also the Cricket Committee. Well, the votes have just been counted, and here now is the chairman with the news of the first vote, which is on the reinstatement of Geoffrey Boycott.
Those in favour of Resolution 1, 4,115 votes. Those against, 3,109. Resolution 1 is therefore carried by 1,006 majority. Resolution 2, those in favour, 3,609. Those against, 3,578.
Well, that really is a significant result. The General Committee beaten, but really it was very, very close indeed. I just wonder how pleased the Boycott Rebels will be. We come now to the final vote. That's the vote of no confidence in the Cricket Committee. And slight confusion here. Michael Crawford, the chairman of the club, talking to Joe Lister. Norman Yardley, the president, watching on. And we're still not certain what the result of Resolution 3 will be. 3,609 for the vote of no confidence in the General Committee against 3,578.
Those in favour, 3,997. Those against, 3,209.
So that's a much more significant win for the Boycott Rebels. 3,997 against just over 3,200. So I suspect at the end of the day, the Boycott supporters will be pleased, and it could well be that Geoffrey Boycott is on his way back to playing cricket for Yorkshire for his 22nd season.
Total victory there for the Boycott supporters, and we're hoping to be talking to Geoffrey later in the programme. Well, now back to the National Stadium, Cardiff. Wales 3, Scotland 6 at half-time, and your match commentator is Bill McLaren.
And a great buzz of excitement all around this ground as we get ready to start the second half. That try by Scotland so close to the interval really has quietened things down a bit here, but this is going to be some game. Peter Dodge gets it going with that huge kick up towards Malcolm Dacey. That shows you the confidence of Malcolm Dacey, a ball that he might well have allowed to go over the dead ball line, but took it as clean as a whisker and put in a good return. Again, the Irish referee Owen Doyle making sure of that big gap. Some forwards prefer to be a bit closer together so that they can practice their little do's and don'ts in the close-up confines. However, it's back to Mark Douglas. Got it back well off the ground to Dacey, and Dacey looking very tidy and sharp in everything he does so far, not only in the normal duties of catch and clear, but in tackle as well. David Leslie at the tail, who gave the scoring pass, and Richard Moriarty marking him again. He's obviously meant to stop Leslie winning the tail, but Leslie a great ball winner on the ground, and he's done it again, out to Rutherford. Rutherford kind of half hit that kick. It's Not far away from his best one, and that's a massive return by Howell Davis. That is a huge kick. Peter Dodds being hounded there by Adrian Hadley. So he'll be a lot happier with that one, and he looks just a bit sprightlier, so we hope that injury has worn off. Wales down to 4. But Leslie won it again. What a day he's having at the line out. Down goes Jim Calder, but the Welsh have rushed in outside to Rutherford from Laidlaw. And Wales look there with their forwards charging through as if they might make a breakout. That old firm at half-back, Laidlaw and Rutherford, today playing in their 19th major international together. That's a Scottish record. Ian Milne, the Scottish tight head prop, whose dad is watching him from the stand here, plays with his two brothers in the Heriots front row. That's Mark Douglas driving on. Now it's Moriarty, a drive by Pickering, out to Dacey. Dacey had Hadley coming inside him. Munro got half to him, taken by Perkins, beautifully laid back. Leslie was the man who won it for Scotland. And it's Laidlaw once again who clears. That really was a marvellous bit of ball winning by David Leslie. Wales had laid it back beautifully, and he got through like a kamikaze pilot. You should get medals for doing that kind of thing at Cardiff.
The only difference is he's coming back and back again to thwart the Welsh attack.
Scottish 22. Douglas, Hadley, high to Dodds. Safe as houses. They'll be pleased down at Netherdale in the Scottish border country with that catch. Peter Dodds of Gala. Return hasn't found touch, it's gone to Hadley now. He's a big, strong runner, and he's got a lovely sidestep, as you can see. Out there to the new cap, Rhys Morgan. Well, Owen Doyle is speaking to Richard Moriarty, and it seems to me that Richard Moriarty was cautioned in the first half, and the law says that for 2 foul plays you should go off. In any event, it's a penalty to Scotland.
The quality of the possession is few and far between as far as Wales are concerned, and how foolish it is to squander those chances when the ball was laid back beautifully, which would have given Mark Douglas a tremendous ball to use for his backs.
Scotland had moved Ian Paxton into Mark Norster there, but it's Eddie Butler who's got it now. Perkins starts running, a great tackle by Ian Paxton. And so that was an interesting touchline development, with Paxton, the number 8, coming up into number 4 in the line to Mark Norster. Colin Deans is throwing, meant for Cuthbertson at the front, and Deans trying to dribble through. Colin Deans, number 2 down there, who just needs one more cap to equal the Scottish record for hookers held by Frank Laidlaw of Melrose with 32. C.T. Deans with 31. Calder, Palm, Cuthbertson, swept at the line out. Laidlaw, Rutherford. Oh, superb take by Howell Davis. Yes, you can see now why Wales have opted for this lad. As I say, a big fellow, over 6 feet and 13.5 stones, but with high skill too. Welsh 10 metres line. Moriarty again at the tail, marking Leslie. And Leslie wins it once more to Calder. Calder pulled away when he didn't have the ball. Paxton may have been offside. It's Dacey to Ackerman. Ackerman has Davies in the line. That's Ackerman busting through. Great tackle by Laidlaw, taken on by Dacey. Good tackle by Johnston. Inside there to Hadley. It's Douglas. Ackerman once more. Big powerful boy. Fed on there to Bowen. Now it's Pickering. Marvellous Welsh handling movement, but great Scottish defence. That's the Scottish 22. Douglas once again. Bowen missed it, but Davis took it. In goes Alan Tomes to try and rescue. Now it's Jim Calder. And that was Wales's best bit of handling of the match. So Robert Ackerman, the big sturdy centre, really showed up just a touch of delicacy in a couple of Scottish tackles there. Back again goes Calder, who does all that cleaning up work at the tail. And the choral inspiration has started from all round the ground here as the Welsh supporters try to lift the side out of this deficit of 6 points to 3. Wales deep inside the Scottish 22, and Douglas with all the options wide open to him, but of course dependent on a good clean heel. And the Welsh forwards have had no problems in that way, except occasionally being turned and swung off it. Well, I thought for a moment Owen Doyle was going to give a free kick for delaying, but obviously he feels the fault was with the front rows. All kinds of moves on here for Wales if they can get the channel right, and it looks a good one as Butler took it. Feeds out to Douglas. Douglas going for the line. Passes inside to Moriarty. Moriarty brilliantly tackled by Cuthbertson. Douglas ferrets in. And that was another very good Welsh move indeed. The powerful Douglas almost there. Moriarty taking on. And Cuthbertson in on the tackle. Now then, will the Welsh go for a hold and a drive? This is the most difficult situation to defend in international rugby if you go by the number of tries scored in the championship over the years.
It's always difficult for a referee in these positions. Both sides obviously keen to get the upper hand in the front rows, and it's difficult to pinpoint who the culprits are.
So most international tries stem from short-range scrummages. And Wales have won it, and Butler goes for the pickup, gives it to Douglas. Douglas to Dacey. Dacey well tackled by Kennedy, and Scotland may be about to win a ball, but there was a high tackle, and it's a penalty to Wales. Tap there taken on by Norster, but the referee was still talking, explaining to the players why he'd given the penalty. And somebody was saying it wasn't me, ref. But Robert Norster was quite right to have a go. Who knows? He might have got the try. Well, he mustn't have taken the penalty at the mark, and Scotland have been given the put in. What a chance wasted there. Laidlaw. Long one to Rutherford.
Yeah, showing a little lack of discipline again. Obviously, Noster must have taken it from the wrong spot. So keen was he to get over that line, which is only a few yards away. But Wales, if they are to do well now, must keep this pressure on.
Billy James meant for Norster, picked up by Leslie, and Woomph. Well, David Leslie, without a doubt, the outstanding forward in the field so far. He's done so much in so many directions for Scotland, and not least with that clearance kick. And once again, David Leslie using the distance at the back, although the throw-in goes to Pickering. Lost it as Laidlaw goes. Fed on there to Tomes. Pick up and drive through again by guess who? David George Leslie. We've played about 12 minutes of the second half, and Scotland still in the lead. On the 22, the Welsh scrimmage beginning to wax just a little stronger, but Scotland taking it away by Paxson. Clever there as they were being turned. The breakaways cleaned it up for the scrum half. And now it gives Rutherford the chance, despite the shaky pass to clear. Taken by Davies. Davies a long pass to Ackerman. The pick up by Steve Munro. Referee had given the knock-on infringement.
A little uncertainty there from the Welsh back division. But this David Leslie is having a magnificent match, isn't he? I'm only looking at him now and it reminds me of the torrid times he used to give me so many years ago. And here he is still playing as if it was his first cap. What a lovely way to play the game.
On halfway. Penalty for collapsing, I think. Yes, I think Rhys Morgan, the big lad with a beard, a delightful character and a most articulate fella too. John Rutherford pushes Scotland up to the 22. So that great bank of spectators on the East Terrace there, with the breeze blowing into their faces and providing the greatest volume of sound, I think, in the great cacophony here in the National Stadium. Billy James held it back well and Mark Douglas cleared. So here's Mark Douglas, the 23-year-old, 8 times an international replacement, and at last getting his cap. We have no ball. There's Ian Milne there, and a tremendous battle in the middle, of course, between Alan Tomes, the most capped player on the field with 34, against Robert Norster. Laidlaw. The pick up there by Jim Calder. He's done a lot of that useful work today for Scotland. Now it's picked up and driven by Ian Milne, taking out more of the remnants of the Welsh defence. Now Rutherford with the dummy, feeding on to Tomes. Tomes goes back to Laidlaw, out to Johnston. Johnston's kick half charged down as Moriarty goes in on his own 22. That was brave by the Swansea breakaway forward. R.D. Moriarty, all 6'6" of him. Scotland on the Welsh 25 and not being able to mount any drive or turn there. Dacey. Yes, it wasn't the best pass. He really, I think, would have preferred it onto his right foot. So Scotland again cut to 4. And this time, David Leslie has gone in a bit closer. Richard Moriarty has to decide whether to come with him, but it's thrown over the top to Calder. Oh, clumsy Scottish feet, kicks it on. And Mark Douglas had plenty of time there as Colin Deans went through.
And just to emphasise how important a good throw-in is, you can see the variations that Scotland have now in the line-out, with Calder throwing long, throwing short, but almost every time to a man. And that really is worth his weight in gold.
And of course he has to get the signals right as well. Once again, Dean's a brilliant throw. Leslie just got a hand to it, but it went slightly forward. Yes, hookers nowadays have so much on their shoulders in the way of responsibility, apart from this sort of aspect here of holding their own ball. As I say, getting signals right and getting the throw right at the touchline as well. It's just outside the Welsh 22. Billy James striking well for the Welshman. Dacey. Out there to Davis, a charge down by Steve Munro. Munro feeding on to Laidlaw, but it went forward in the actual pickup. Had it gone forward from the charge down, of course, he would have played on. But as he went to pick it up from the ground, he nudged it forward again. That was a real chance. Eddie Butler nicely back to Douglas. That was neat and tidy and efficient. So say Eddie Butler, who went to Monmouth School, where the great John Gwilym went, and Keith Jarrett as well. So Moriarty standing just behind Leslie so that Leslie can't beat him for pace off the back. But that time it went to Paxton. Laidlaw, Rutherford, out to Johnston from his pal Kennedy, half through, and that was kicked on by Malcolm Dacey. There's a tremendous race here as Steve Munro goes across. And the former West of Scotland wing, now playing for his home club Ayr, really saved Scotland there. David Johnson almost getting through, and then Malcolm Dacey getting his foot to it, and it was a real chase because this lad Dacey can shift. Scottish 22. James using the long one. We're almost halfway through the second half, just about 20 minutes of the match to go, and Scotland still 3 points in the lead. Laidlaw, Rutherford. Great to have a player of John Rutherford's experience and of his calmness as well. He's had one or two moments of indecision in the match, but his clearance worked splendid. Butler couldn't quite hold it, and Laidlaw goes on one of his sniping runs, and he's away! Roy Laidlaw out there to Paxton. The pass just a little bit anxious, and that really was another chance for Scotland. The break by Laidlaw, everybody's expected.
Yes, a classic scrum half snipe, wasn't it? Look, he's determined all the way. He obviously thinks that he's got to get the pass in because he's going to be tackled, and was just a little bit too quick with it, which would have resulted in a tremendous try.
It was Davis with a very high one up to Peter Dodds. And Dodds coming away across to the far touchline. Now he tends sometimes to have little moments when he gets crushed in the mincing machine, but he got it away in time there. Went too far, of course, because it was outside the 22 and lost the territorial advantage. Well, you know, there's only one score between them. A try either way could well settle this match. And of course, plenty of time to go yet. Good knock down there by Pickering, out to Dacey, along the line to Ackerman, Ackerman to Bowen, Bowen sprinting through. Oh, lovely run by Hadley, Adrian Hadley, taken on by the fullback Davies. That was lovely work by the Welsh backs, and it almost produced a try on the wrong wing for the big Cardiff man, Adrian Hadley. So Wales once again as close as that. Pick up by Butler to Douglas, Douglas half through, back inside to Titley, a brilliant try. Mark Titley's first try for Wales in a major international, and Wales in the lead.
It's the back row move here. Watch how Mark Douglas moves out. Eddie Butler feeds him, and really it's a case of the missed tackle, isn't it? Mark Douglas does well to keep it going, but there is no doubt that Mark Titley doing what every good winger should do, supported on the inside, and Wales are back in the match.
Mark Titley's 18th try of the season puts Wales into the 1-point lead, and has everybody here pulling in their breath as the big fullback Howell Davies tries to stretch that lead. Oh, it's a beauty. Two successful
I'm
kicks.
sure that Jim Calder is going to curse himself here, because it's a missed tackle as far as he's concerned. Look how he's standing out on the outside there. the pass beats him, but credit to Mark Douglas for carrying the movement on. He is a strong boy, took his chance well, and Wales have got the score they wanted.
So Howell Davis's second successful kick of the match puts Wales into that 9-6 lead, and we've about 18 minutes to go. Rutherford restarts. Up there went Leslie once again. Back there to Mark Douglas. Dacey. Colin Dean's almost with the charge down. Previous infringement, and they come back to the scrimmage. Referee Owen Doyle holding up the forwards until Colin Deans came along. Plenty of singing now around the stadium. It'll be echoing up in the main streets here of Cardiff, and everybody away up in the main street will know that Wales are leading. Laidlaw was quite right. The ball was actually out of the scrimmage. So Eddie Butler didn't quite manage to get that one away to his scrum half, although the liaison has worked not too badly on occasions. So it's up to Scotland now with John Rutherford there, just waiting service. Laidlaw. Referee's whistle had gone for the penalty, playing the man. Or perhaps may have got a foot in front of the ball when it was still in the scrimmage. But here's a big moment for Peter Dodds, because if he can kick this distance and dead straight, then the sides are level. Peter Dodds, who's scored 297 points this season so far, 160 of them for his club Gala. And he hasn't played an international at Cardiff before, so there's a lot of pressure on him. Dodds then, it's certainly high enough. Has it got the legs? Yes, it has. The kind of kick he put over 5 times against the All Blacks, and the Scots here are delirious. So it's eeksy-peeksy, 9 points all with 23 minutes of the second half gone.
And of course, with no side really having a grip on the game, the result is very, very much in doubt which way it's going to go.
Davis kicks long. Rutherford takes clean. That's a very good return from that angle with his right foot. Colin Thomas Deans of Hawick, Hawick's 10th British Lion. And Bob Nosser in the middle there, and took it beautifully. Douglas, a huge pass to Dacey. The Gary Owen once again. Dodds calls, but he's going to be engulfed. The whole of Wales was up on that one, but the referee decided he was played before the ball had been caught. So all the kilted warriors around the ground breathe again. Rutherford. So Richard Moriarty, who hasn't managed to get into the game a tremendous amount, in the unusual position of flanker. Dacey missed out one man to Bowen, back to Ackerman. Ackerman thumped down in the tackle there, but taken on by Pickering, up to the Scottish 22. Moriarty is in there, number 6. Douglas with a chip kick, back goes Calder. Baird is there, and Baird has cleared. Hasn't found touch yet. Back goes Billy James, the hooker. What am I doing back here, he says. That was lovely to see the Aberraban hooker saying, goodness, have I got to deal with this. So that was a brilliant bit of work by Roger Baird. He kept his cool, didn't touch down, found room for the kick and cleared. Going through in the line out, penalty to Scotland. So Eddie Butler telling his forwards that they mustn't give away those penalties and lose valuable territory. So we've only 13 minutes of the match to go, and they're tied at 9 points all. The first match of the championship, and Jay Perkins of Pontypool goes through. Penalty for playing it perhaps after the tackle, or was it... no, he's just pointing to the mark, the referee. Playing the ball in the rucker tackle, and Peter Dodds is going to have a shot at putting Scotland ahead. This is the longest place kick he's had to go at this afternoon.
Yes, and it's very difficult to say whether or not he's got the advantage of the wind or not, because with the new stand being completed now, the ground is almost fully encased, and I suppose there might be a little bit of wind at his back.
Peter Dodds, who scored a record 303 points for the south of Scotland in 42 games. Can he put Scotland ahead? Certainly given it a good enough lick, but it's not far enough. Dacey takes it beautifully. Great clearance as well. Alan Domes at number 2, Cuthbertson at 4. It's Scotland's throw to Leslie. Brilliant again to Calder. Calder on to Paxton. Paxton to Cuthbertson. Almost up to the Welsh 22. Brilliant Scottish forward play. Laidlaw out to Rutherford. Rutherford to chip through. It was Roger Baird who almost got his foot to the ball. Still in there as Rutherford chipped it towards the corner. Dean's in as well. But it was the surging play by the Scottish forwards off the back of the line out that was impressive there. Rutherford in complete control of this situation and no doubt enjoying every moment. James again disguising the throw cleverly, but it's Milne who charges. Again Laidlaw dummies. Held up there by Titley, the wing, and it's Jim Aitken who scored. The Scots are in the lead, and the Scottish captain has put them ahead. Scottish flags float in the air, and
well, a proud moment once again for Jim Aitken. Look how Laidlaw has a cut at it, can't quite get the strength or the power to get over the Welsh line, but credit to him, he sets it back up again, and that is really what made the try for Aitken. He had the size and the power to get over the Welsh line. And could this be the decisive score?
Peter Dodds with this vital conversion kick now, because it'll put Scotland 6 points clear. He stroked it with, as they say in Scotland, nae bother ava.
Well, this is it from, as the Welsh players see it, the first thrust by Laidlaw. He sets it back beautifully. And here comes Aitken with all his weight and power over the line. But really the credit must go once again to Leslie at the back of the line, who initially set up that move and the throwing in of Colin Deans.
15 points to 9, Scotland lead, 10 minutes to go. Davis gets it going. Steve Munro, I think, had one ghastly thought in his mind that he might have to catch that near the corner flag, and no wing wants to have to do that, but it went too far. And David Johnson once again was ready to take it, and Ewan Kennedy taps, and that could have been fatal, but Dodds takes it. However, the ball was knocked forward. Well, Scotland have given away a good position there, but of course Ewan Kennedy has got to get 6 feet 4 down to those ball on the ground. Laidlaw, Rutherford. It wasn't the best pass, but it certainly gave John Rutherford the chance and the time to turn and kick. So we're bound to have a blistering last 9 minutes, and there must be one of the cheeriest fellows on the pitch at the moment, Jim Aitken. Third time as captain of Scotland in a major. Long throw by Billy James, but Leslie once again, as Calder goes for it, down goes Paxton. Douglas, a lovely switch. Dacey, well tackled there by Rutherford, nicely fed back. Douglas switching again to Ackerman. Ackerman kicking for the corner. Steve Munro. Well, Steve Munro really had a difficult task there because he didn't know what was coming behind him. Robert Ackerman, who's looked very steady throughout this match and has made one marvellous break. James throws. Paxton couldn't quite hold it. Back again to Rutherford. Booms. Seven minutes to go. Scotland leading Wales 15 points to 9. Rhys Morgan at the front there. Billy James throwing. Moriarty knocks it back to Douglas. Douglas going round the back, but caught by Leslie and by Calder. Leslie again scrapping for the ball on the floor, but Perkins won it. Now it's along the line to Dacey. Dacey to Bowen. Bowen checking inside, beautifully tackled by Munro. The pick up by Moriarty. Great Welsh attempt to pull it back. Billy James surging on. James, the Aberavon lad, almost to the line. Now it's Douglas. Dacey going. Can he get the ball over? Noster to Douglas. Oh, that was so close for the Welshman.
The anxiety coming through there on the Welsh players, but there is no doubt about it that their plan really now from here to the end of the match must be to move the ball obviously at will. They must throw caution to the wind or the match will be lost to them. They look to have strength on the wings. I'd like to see Adrian Hadley been given the opportunity to have a run at his opposite winger. He's such an exciting player. Same goes for Mark Titley, very much in the Gerald Davis mould. But Wales, if they are to salvage something now, must try and move the ball as far away from the Scottish pack as they possibly can.
So this is a very important scrummage indeed for Colin Deans and the Scottish front row. Wales, as I say, have been the heavier, and the Scottish scrum has held fairly well throughout the match. And that was another good ball to Roy Laidlaw. Almost charged down by Dacey, who's supremely quick onto his man.
But it's all about discipline now, isn't it? And whereas we've been talking about how good Colin Deans has been throwing in, when he needed that ball controlled and efficient from the scrimmage, he did it and laid it back beautifully for Laidlaw to clear to touch.
5 minutes to go. Leslie again showing his great prowess to the ball on the ground. He gets totally committed, David Leslie. Was working out, he's missed about 23 internationals, mostly through injuries. He would have had about 45 by now. Douglas, that's the missed pass. Bowen fed on to the fullback. Davis Titley going outside. A brilliant tackle by Peter Dodds. That really was a try-saving tackle by the Gala fullback. It was a lovely move, the long dummy pass, missing out a couple. The fullback Davis in.
Yes, and here it was, and what a superb pass by Blethen Bowen. Mark Titley obviously trying to get out his outside the defender, but Dodds did so well to push him into touch.
Yes, an injury to the Welsh this time, and late on in the game this is what's to be expected. Blethen Bowen, the young policeman, is the injured player. But Peter Dodds, apart from kicking 3 goals, did probably his best bit of work of all with that superb tackle, because Mark Titley is tremendously quick on the outside break.
Here it is once again. Watch Blethen Bowen's pass now, which releases his winger. The dummy pass, a long pass. Wales have favoured that in the past. Titley looked as if he had it, but Dodds was determined that he wasn't going to get near that Scottish line.
David Johnson, the centre, was the fella too who managed to get a hand to the ball and stop the inside pass. But Wales still in a great attacking position, and they have the throw-in. Colin Dean's trying to go up the front, and Scotland have gained 2 or 3 metres. Been a tremendous battle between the packs there. Bit fiery in the early stages, and well, lucky perhaps that one didn't go off. But nonetheless, it's Laidlaw again, rescuing and really playing as well as he have ever played.
And it's worth mentioning, since we've mentioned the Scottish number 7, the Welsh number 7, David Pickering, who tackled Laidlaw there, who I think has had one of his best games for Wales. He's grafted hard, supported very well, and has been absolutely outstanding today.
Yes, the light's tending to fade here at the National Stadium, getting just a bit dark. And Wales may have taken their first one against the head. Butler feeds out there to Douglas. Douglas held by Leslie. And so they're the first one against the put-in the match. We've just about a couple of minutes of the match to go, plus injury time. Scotland still ahead, 15-9. So we reckon we've about 3 minutes of injury time as well, so maybe 5 altogether as Douglas feeds out to Dacey, along to Bowen. That's a feed to Hadley. Hadley going through, a long pass out to the fullback, but it's Steve Munro can't hold it, and everybody trying to get a hand in it. And it's the lad Pickering once again who's first to the loose ball.
Well, Wales obviously are having a go now. A superb pass once again. Hadley, look how strong he's running, but at the last minute lacks that little bit of experience and composure to hold on to the ball and release it at the right moment.
Still a great position for the Welshmen. They really have put the screw on Scotland for the last 5 or 6 minutes, but it's a penalty there for dipping down. Billy James may have been penalised for going down too low and risking collapse. And a sigh of relief from Scots as John Rutherford finds yet another touch. Scotland have never beaten Wales at Cardiff twice running. And of course they've had only 6 victories here out of 28 games so far. Not over yet as Douglas feeds out to Dacey. Dacey kicking long, maybe just a bit too far, depends on the bounce. Dodds has got to play it, and it's into touch in the corner again. So that was a teasing kick indeed by the standoff. So this is the kind of situation where if you get a good clean catch, you can almost flop over. Scotland holding over their own line. The ball being mauled. I tell you, there was some desperate stuff there as John Rutherford cleared with his left foot. We're into injury time. 15 points to 9, Scotland lead, 2 tries to 1. And Wales desperately seeking a try close enough to kick the goal. Throw in not quite to the referee's liking. And Scotland with another scrummage. Now Wales pinched one against the head not so long ago. And it was ugly again. Dacey going, but the referee deciding it went straight through. Everybody biting their fingers down right to the ends here in the stadium, Welsh and Scots alike. Better heel by Scotland. Laidlaw was just a bit afraid of giving a pass that might have caused more embarrassment to the Scots. Well, we've played a minute and a half of injury time.
It's worth noting how Calder stands off from the scrimmage. I wonder if Wales will try and get a pushover try.
Jim Calder guarding that blind side as Butler goes to Douglas. He lost possession, but it'll still be... The referee's whistle is gone, and Scotland have won a remarkable victory. 15 points to 9 their margin, and they've set a bit of